We want everybody to meet the incredible Happy Munkey team. Because these brothers been putting in that work. From the legacy to the legit, everything we doing right now. So let's get these guys to come up here. I want to introduce Vanessa Perez. My man Vladimir Bautista. Ramon Reyes. I got the art thing going. Reyes in the building. And David Hernandez. Moderator is the leading cannabis activist, lawyer, the whole 9 yards, Cheryl Murray Powell, Esquire.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Harlem. Is Harlem in the building? How many of you are from here? Uptown. I live here. My son goes to school here. The Justice Foundation office is based here. And then you'll hear a little bit about this love story with Harlem in a minute. Fab, thank you for the wonderful introduction and all the work that you've done. Really appreciate you. So those of you who aren't from Harlem, you better eat before you leave this city. I'm just telling you, because the food here is amazing. So this is a very important panel, as mentioned before. We're focused on introducing the Happy Munkey team. And, I mentioned that we talk a little bit about the relationship with Harlem. Harlem's very important. It was something that these individuals were very passionate about, making sure they brought this education to Harlem. So I know Fab introduced everyone by name. I'm going to say a little bit of something about everyone sitting here because I have great love for the Happy Munkey team. Always have, always will. Now, Ramon, and I feel like I'm going to have him write in his writers that anytime he's on stage, I'm on stage, because this is our second time on stage together. We were at the Legalized NYC, and that's his first panel. He killed it, and I was like, brother, you need to be on stage more. So he's following that advice, and here he is. He's going to share his story. But one thing you need to know about Ramon is he's a man of few words. But when he speaks, there's so much wisdom. And he's so passionate about fairness and equity. And he's a class act. So honored to share the stage with you and introduce you, my brother.
Thank you.
And now we have Vlad Bautista. We all know Vlad as the main face for Happy Munkey. And we've known each other many, many years. Look at those shoulders. He is a lot on those shoulders. A lot of people resting on those shoulders, just representing the culture, and he does it so well with such elegance and grace. And what I love about Vlad is he's always trying to grow. When they talk about glass ceilings and grass ceilings, he's like, there's no ceiling. We're going into space with this brand, and I love your ambition. But with that ambition, he still knows how to treat every single person as if they're a dear friend. And that's why you're going to be so successful on this journey. And
thank you for those kind words. I appreciate you,
clap
Cheryl.
it up. And Vanessa, I've recently come to know her, and I mean, when we talk about all the testosterone in these planning rooms, right? We need some woman energy. And she's brilliant. She's brilliant. And she really shows that you need to make sure there's true diversity as we're planning this new cannabis ecosystem. I'd like to say that if Happy Munkey was Rough Riders, she would be who? If Happy Munkey was the Flip Mode Squad, she would be? Okay. I love this game.
Thank you so much.
If Happy Munkey were the Terror Squad, she would be?
Remy Ma.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm learning every time I'm in her presence, and it is a true gift. And last but certainly not least, and we go back years as well, Mr. David Hernandez. You want to talk about somebody who knows where to be when he's needed? David Hernandez. He's like a mastermind, but has the respect to make sure that we don't lose the authenticity of our culture while he's taking us into the next generation. So we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So with that said, Harlem, let's talk about this city, Harlem, where you guys went through the School of Hard Knocks. Let's talk about how being of Harlem, being from Uptown, has helped you write your story, especially enduring the harm of the war on drugs. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Born and raised New York native, very fucking proud of that. Always, no matter where we go. You can't take that away from me. I can't, and the legacy market has taken me to many different states. There's no way, like, you can spot me a mile away, right? And it's the same thing I used to tell Vlad. We used to go Vlad places. Yo, bro, they're gonna spot us a mile away. Whether we got white tees on or we got a suit on, there go the New Yorkers, right? So it's everything. It's everything. It started our story. It made us strong. It taught us how to pivot. It's everything. Like, New York, it's really the capital of the world. It's really where, if you want to learn about fucking Dominican culture, you just got to go uptown, right? You want to learn about black-rooted, deep country, you come right here to Harlem. It's this you can kind of go anywhere, right? You want to learn about the Chinese, go to Chinatown. You got it all right here in New York City. So we were able to take all these things that we was born and raised with and pivot it towards this brand and be like creating something that just hasn't been created yet.
Beautiful. And I know you are the Happy Munkey team is going to be applying or has applied for a card licensing.
We are. Yes.
Yes. So let's take it a little step further, Vlad.
Yes.
Do we want Happy Munkey to sell us cannabis? I think we want Happy Munkey to sell us cannabis. So Vlad, I'm going to ask you to just carry on this conversation about what is it that you learned from your experience as a legacy operator. And for those of you who don't know what legacy is, and we got Dashid in the room, she actually coined that legacy to legal phrase. She actually coined it, now everybody uses it. But when we talk about legacy, we're talking about the people who built this thing, right? The people who built the infrastructure. They were here before. They took they were battered and bruised. They took all of the consequences of us still preserving the genetics, helping people, healing people with cannabis. So with that said, a legacy operator, and this definition was defined by the Unified Legacy Operators Council. Vlad is actually a board member and president for the Unified Legacy Operators Council and the Justice Foundation. So the Justice Foundation and Unlock kind of fine-tuned this definition, which is a legacy operator is an individual who has commercialized for the majority of their income or sacramentally distributed or ceremonially distributed cannabis outside of the legal framework during the period of prohibition, predating legalization by at least 5 years. So with that definition, we gotta clap it up for all our legacy people in the room who said, I don't care, I may get arrested, but I believe this plan. I may have to pay these prices, I may have a lot of risks as far as like violence and robberies, but also risks as far as losing your children, but I love this plan. So with that said, Vlad, let's talk about what skills did you learn being from New York, being from Harlem, being legacy, all those things that make you the dynamic individual you are. What are those skills that you're going to take into when you're a licensee, into your dispensary space and this conglomerate that you're about to build under the Happy Munkey brand?
Yes, Cheryl, that's a great question. And, I'm going to talk about it in a way, since I'm here in my community, I feel better and I feel more comfortable than I have in the past. And what I learned is, to be frank with you all, even before Happy Munkey, I was a CEO in the legacy world. And in the legacy world, all the things that I learned is what I'm gonna apply, as you said, which is you must take care of your community. You must take care and value your consumer. You must have an amazing team that you can trust, that you can count on, that you can have blind faith in. And you must be ready to pivot. And imagine being a CEO in the legacy market, having to look behind my back. To be honest with you, to be frank here, this is such a full circle moment because, once upon a time, 20 years ago, I really thought, and it's sad to say, my highest level of achievement is going to be like being the local CEO to the legacy world, because this world wasn't even a thought. So I was like, well, at least I died on top, or I go to jail on top, because that was the highest we could see at the time in the neighborhood, So, but now turning those negatives into positives, I believe is what makes me a great leader and a great CEO, because if I was able to make it through that persecution, jail, being looked down upon from society, but still, as you just said, believing no, I'm medicating my community. I'm doing the best version of what my options are out here. I am feeding my family in a way that I can look at myself in the mirror every day. I was able to do that then, so I feel really confident going into the legal market and taking all those skills, because I believe that they're all going to be very applicable and very effective, because it sounds simple, Cheryl, but you have to treat people the way you like to be treated, and I believe it's a lost art, and that's what I believe has gotten us here.
Preach. Thank you so much. And you'll see that Vlad brilliantly kind of tied in some of the conversation we had earlier about, those transferable skills and how do you apply it. He said that, all he could see at a certain time was, I'm going to finish on top. But now he's expanded his understanding and exposure by doing all this traveling for cannabis and for people who can't travel. And he's like, there's more. And I'm going to bring that more to my community. Thank you for that, brother. And Vanessa, now, tell us a little but about your history prior to Happy Munkey, and let's talk those transferable skills. So when you're building teams, as mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you have diversity in professions. You have a strong team that looks good on paper, but a strong team that can execute. So not everyone has to look the same or have the same legacy background. You want a hybrid team which is strong and built to last. So Vanessa, you're an important piece of that for Happy Munkey. Let's talk about your background and the skills you bring to the table.
Sure. So I come from the space of nonprofit. My profession has been built in HR and operations predominantly in the nonprofit youth-centered space. In 2018, I decided to take a venture into this cannabis world. The conversation around legalization in New York was just starting to really take form. And so I started to attend events, and I became very overwhelmed with the cannabis conversation, because at the time it was really centered at the entrepreneur, the person that wants to get in and be their own boss and run their own business. And that was where I thought I wanted to be. And then I realized that, one, I didn't have the capital, I didn't have the time and capacity, and I felt a little bit distraught. And I kept going to events, I kept meeting people. And at a virtual networking event, I happened to hear Vlad and Chris Ball speak on a panel regarding legacy to legal, which was the first time I had ever heard that term. And I was inspired by both of them. I was inspired to see a Dominican brother talking to an audience of people. I was inspired to see someone from my neighborhood. I'm from Washington Heights. I'm not from Harlem, but I'm still uptown. It's okay, my husband's from Harlem.
Her husband's from Harlem, so Harlem always gets it anyway.
Harlem is always winning, I know. But I was inspired. I was inspired to see, because like Vlad, I grew up, I'm not legacy, I'm a square, pay my taxes, park in legal places all the time. But I grew up in Washington Heights during the war on drugs. And so I witnessed my neighbors, my brothers, my cousins, my uncles fall prey to, what were they called, TNT days? When they would just throw
Tuesdays
themselves.
and Thursdays,
remember
y'all.
that,
Tuesdays
right?
and
Remember,
Thursdays,
one of
you gotta
it
watch
was
it.
on Wednesdays. And if you were standing on the corner, whether you were dealing or not, you got picked up. So I think every man in my family has fallen prey to 24 hours in central booking, thanks to the war on drugs. And so I was inspired by Vlad's speech and his conversation, and I reached out to him and I said, my brother, my name is Vanessa, I have experience in HR and operations, I love what you're doing, let's connect. And 2 years later, I'm sitting on stage with my brothers, building this company with them. And the skills that I brought here that I think have really helped is that, like I said, I come from an operations and HR background, and the industry of cannabis is a very regulated industry. So you have to have a very deep knowledge and understanding of compliance. So for those of you who are in the nonprofit space that are potentially thinking of entering into cannabis, this is the space for you. You understand compliance, you understand regulations. This is the place where you will feel comfortable and you will thrive. The other opportunity is that coming from the nonprofit space, what you can do in a nonprofit space and make $40,000 a year, you can probably make $80,000. So I'm talking about real economic impact at the micro level, in your home, right? That was another reason why I thought it was a great opportunity, because I want to be able to support my community, help my community, but I also want to support and help my family, right? I have 2 young children who are going to college in a couple of years, and guess what? Mom and dad are going to have to pay for tuition. So looking for a way to elevate my family on a personal level and support my community felt like the right fit here at Happy Munkey. And Vlad always tells me, because I forget my questions when I'm in the middle of a panel. I don't do this often, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you. Thank you. What I do here is I help operationalize everything. So my fearless leaders and my team are wonderful and creative and think outside the bounds. You are not lying. I joke with Vlad all the time. I tell him, I said, there are people who see walls and walk through them. Vlad sees no walls, he sees no doors, he's just an open plane and he just keeps walking. I've learned a lot from this team. I've learned to keep my head on a swivel, make sure my shoes are tied because we run fast, and scared money don't make money. So there is no reason for folks to be fearful of entering this space. I am a mother. I'm a professional. I've been in the professional space for over 20 years. I'm a daughter. I'm a daughter of Washington Heights. And I'm here. And I'm a cannabis consumer, y'all. I've been smoking for 20 years. Most more than likely, if you've seen me, I've been a little bit medicated because I have anxiety. Okay? These are all things that I know that one of the earlier panels we talked about the destigmatization. It starts with yourself. It starts with you forgiving yourself for the stigma that society has put on you, for you recognizing that you are capable, that you are productive, and that cannabis is not the end of the world. It actually supports and helps people, right? You can consume to medicate, you can consume for recreational purposes. Sometimes I'll be stoned, sometimes I'm not, right? But I still function, and I think that everyone needs to start being more open and honest about about their consumption habits, about the reasons why, because the only way we're gonna teach people that this is okay is by showing them, so.
No, that's perfect, thank you.
Girl.
We all have our part to play. We all have our role to play, and David's role is key. Vlad's like when Vlad's jet setting all over, and I mean jet setting because I'm a fan as well as a friend. So I'd be like, oh, I just saw that you were here, you were there. David holds things down, typically at home. So David, we spent some time together a couple years ago at a Canna Gather event. Canna Gather is a great brand, and we were doing stuff in Maryland. Let's talk about the Happy Munkey brand. Developing a brand, taking it from, a hospitality and event planning platform, and then making it something that is a lifestyle brand. Can you talk about your role in that type of activity?
For sure, and shout out to meeting you at Canna Gather Baltimore and running around all up the East Coast the last couple of years and just really trying to make this cannabis dream happen. But when it came to Happy Munkey and what we were building back in 2017 at the club, something I saw and I was just in love with was the way we made people feel, right? There might have been a dispensary, there might have been a dab lounge, there might have been amazing people that worked there, but every experience that I got and every experience that I saw people have there, it was something that they just wanted to go tell their friends to. I saw people bring their closest homies there, and then also like look at that one friend as like, if you bring John here, like it's over, you know? And so like we created a safe place that it was just beautiful to see. And you know, when COVID hit, us having to transition into kind of like embodying that event in that space that we would see 250, 300 people a day in that space, to you know, us being shuttered at home, you know, really developing what the authenticity these my brothers created, my brothers in the audience created, and just being able to really dial that down has been something that, one, you're gonna like hit a wall from time to time, but you really have to understand you're dealing with people whose stories and energy the world hasn't really seen before. And so when it comes to, yeah, clap it up for them. And I'm constantly the person in the room who's like trying to really take it to the next level, and they reel me back in, but they also, you know, let the fish line out, and they want to see that creativity go, and it's a nice symbiosis and balance. And so for anyone who's out there making a brand, especially from that legacy to legal transition, you don't have to button yourself up to be something you're not. You know, you are doing something that, you know, people in boardrooms, people with master's and bachelor's degrees, PhDs, they can't do what you've been doing out on the streets, no matter how many years you give them.
Thank you so much. And just talking about that transition and building a brand, you guys at your 5-year anniversary, 5 years in Consumption Lounge Legacy Space, 5-year anniversary, revealed your new logo. Why change your logo? What does that mean for the future for Happy Munkey?
First, though, I want to say that, yes, me and Vlad, we made the name, but Vanessa and David made it a brand. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
beautiful.
You know, the brothers and I, and, you know, we did the consumption stuff, and it was organically something that we did out of love. We didn't think about money or anything. We just felt like, yo, it was kind of time, and, you know, I came up with a name. We knew Vlad was to force the space. Everything was made right, but Vanessa and David made this into a real brand where people can attach themselves one way or another, right? So I just want to say thank you to you guys, to be honest, right? So I'll start with that.
Thank you.
When we decided to change the logo is because we knew that the state were changing regulations, right? And it was also a period where we felt like it was time for evolution for us, right? We didn't know what we were doing. We did a lot of things, right? But we didn't know what the next move was, right? Then licensing came out, and we knew licensing, we were gonna apply for licenses. So we decided, you know what? It's time to kind of grow up and make this into an international brand, right? Because we know New Yorkers, you know, we know New Yorkers, we love it, but it's time to, like, you know, make it international and to make sure that this brand stands out in a way that's looked at professionally apart from New York. Because if you don't know our story, I want you to make sure that you look at us respectfully. You know what I mean? So I think that's what changed for us. I don't know if Vlad has different opinions, but that's what.
You want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I think to add on to what Ramon says, also, you know, we knew that now that we were gonna go for, you know, going into retail and going into a broader mainstream market, that we had to get a little bit more buttoned up. We know that the regulations in a lot of states don't like characters and anything that feels like it's catered to children. So we just felt like, similar to Ramon said, like it was time to show the maturation of the brand, and what perfect timing when we are going into more mainstream places, and we've expanded the empire from just consumption to media to merchandise to apparel to advocacy to all these things. You know, we need to be taken serious and be very buttoned up, because we know that what we're doing is very important and will impact a lot of people. By the way, Sha, I want to take the time to make a special shout out here. My other two partners, John and Omar, they're in the crowd.
Yes,
they like to be humble, but the truth is that without those two gentlemen giving me and us an opportunity, a platform, and believing and supporting us, we wouldn't be here today. They don't like to get attention, but I have to say it like it is.
Absolutely.
I want to thank them for always believing and supporting us.
I think that's beautiful, and it's really important to know who supports you. I got a chance to talk to John and Omar before we got started with the education, and one thing that they were very passionate about was making sure that all these people who, once they do get licenses, that they have the funding, but they get the respect, and that they aren't taken advantage of. What are your thoughts on how we build this industry to make sure that we have diversity, equity, and inclusion, but in a way that we mitigate some of these predatory practices that we've been hearing about?
That's a loaded question, Cheryl, but a good one. So the way that we do that is that having events like this, talking to people like you, Cheryl, that are so experienced, people like Tanisha, people like Dashita, people like myself, because it's like there is a very high percentage of predators out there, unfortunately, and sometimes we don't have the resources to have due diligence, but there are people like Just Us, Unlock, that you can come to that will do the due diligence for you, because I believe that that's where a lot of it happens at. People that come from humble beginnings like us that are not super academically educated with these contracts, you can easily get jammed up in a situation that you can't get out of. So I recommend doing really serious due diligence, having mentors of people that look like you, come from places like you come from, to give you what worked for them and what didn't. Because I'm a firm believer that if I didn't have that, if I didn't have like people like Steve D'Angelo and people like, my friend out there, Josh Tepperberg, and different people that were able to tell me, no, Vlad, go left, go right. It might not played out the same way for us. But I think the most important thing is you have to know your value. And that's very hard to know, especially when you don't have it necessarily on paper and revenue, because you can't, because it didn't exist until now. So you have to know the intrinsic cultural and knowledge of how much all that value has. You have to know it or help people see it, because if not, they're gonna hit you with you don't have the financials, so we're gonna give you 2 pennies and 3 cents, and it's easy to get jammed up in that. So I would recommend to really take your time before you sign anything, do due diligence, have people like Just Us or Unlock or organizations, people that you trust, really read these things over, because it's a sad situation that we see happen over and over again to our people throughout the country. So that's what I recommend, Cheryl.
Absolutely. And I just want to bring it back a little bit, right? I know everybody feels like it's cannabis and there's a lot of love and peace, but there are a lot of predators out there, right? Especially in the capital of the world, right? We're talking about money of the world, right? Money from all over the world travels in this city. So it's very difficult to kind of navigate through that, right? But still understand, give it context. You are in New York. These people are business people. They're here to make business, and this is a brand new business that's being introduced to the legal market. I know this is old to the rest of us that have been outside for a long time, but this is brand new to everybody, even the state. So this is why it's never gonna be perfect, right? But we're at least working together, and this is why I'm so proud of being in New York, that at the minimum, we at least, and the state is at least trying a new approach, which is what I appreciate, and this is why I'm so proud of being a New Yorker.
Awesome. And I love how it's all centered around the love of community, which is why we're here, but really looking within the community for resources. We are equipped. We have everything we need in this room, in the space right here, if we continue to have these conversations. My last question, and we may have time for questions from the audience, is really just focused on, at Justice Foundation, we have a lot of people saying, I want to have a consumption lounge. I want to have a consumption lounge. They've never ran a consumption lounge or retail or had any space for people to consume cannabis. What is your advice for the people who are looking at that license type and they're thinking, I could probably do that. I think I know how to do that. What is your advice? Because you have a long history of having a very safe consumption space for all people to come together and enjoy themselves without having to worry about anything happening, anything negative happening. So how did you guys do it? What's your advice for others who want to follow in your footsteps?
Wow. Patience, everybody, right? Shout out to everybody who's supported us during our 38th Street wave. You know, shout out to Sana CBD. We used to do yoga events. You know, we did all sorts of events, right? I think being very clever and like being out the box is what I think you should be, right? Also, this is a brand new business, right? So consumption lounge is not really a thing here yet, right? People don't know what it is to run something where there's just weed and no alcohol, right? Because people are used to running alcohol and drunks and stuff like that. I'm gonna tell you right now, the cannabis consumer is the easiest person to serve. We want water, we want munchies, we want directions to where the bathroom is. You know, this is the shit that we want, right? So, you know, just pay attention, right? Vlad said earlier, right? So it's like, yo, you guys, this is just being treated the way you would want to be treated is a first thing, right? And I don't want to talk about the business part. I'm just talking about the hospitality part, right? Is what we kind of embed, you know, this is what we enforced during our little era there, right? We come from Dominican background. Yo, if any of you guys been to a Dominican home, y'all know how you get treated as soon as you walk in the door, right? So it's the same shit with us. We kind of made sure that people felt a certain way, like David said earlier, right? Whether it was happy or just satisfied or shit, I feel great. I could take off this fucking hair or the braid, whatever it is, right? We made sure that people felt a certain way. And I think if you kind of like focus, and you know, I guess I'll talk some hippie shit, focus on how people feel. Before they even walk in that door, they already know they gonna feel some sort of way, right? This already in their head. You know what I mean? It's already in their heart. So I think focus on what people feel, you know, pay attention to their wants and their needs, even if you're not the bud tender, if you're the person who's receiving them, make sure you greet them by name, make sure you give them a hug, because we love hugs. I know my hippie guys, we love hugs. So, you know, these are the things that I feel like was important for us and why people resonated with us, and they went home and told their friends and their families, like, yo, I just went to this lounge. And the lounge wasn't like this big, fabulous thing where you had all these fabulous things. It was just our home, and we treated it like our home. So when people walked in, they felt like, oh shit, I'm at home, straight up.
I'd also
awesome.
want to chime in.
Thank you.
I'd also
and, you know, those of you who are here, you're going to be able to say that you were here for the first Choose Happy event. Consider it a privilege. He said, focus on how you make people feel. That's what it's all about. That's what safe consumption's all about. Focus on how you make people feel. So once again, another round of applause for these guys from Happy Munkey. They say always choose happy and always do it for the culture. All right? So are there any questions from the audience?
Go ahead, my man. Right. So for me, I'll bring it back to how you feel, right? I take whatever subject that you love in cannabis, right? Fuck what you like. Tell me what you love, right? That would be easy for you to convey to me, right? Tell me, that'd be easy for you to explain, this is why I love this. This is why I show this, right? People would really see that. They really, because we in New York, we see the bullshit. We know your bullshit game. If you spit in game, we know it, right? So give me something real. Show me what you love. Show me that you're good at it. And that's it. I think that's it for me. Word up.
I would also say, too, I've been a bud tender through community events. I've been doing this for about 6 years now, just all up and down the country. And a lot of the time you're not going to get praised for the hard work you're doing, but a lot of it's finding that self-worth within, and you're going to find the people and the vibe, and your vibe's going to attract your tribe enough where you're going to actually find those people who recognize the work you're doing, and whether you're building it at the head of it or you're helping, people that you respect who respect you, you're going to find those people. So just keep building, and if they're not giving out awards for what you're doing, make your own awards. Do what you have to do, but it's you. You're the one who's working. So I just want to kind of give you that, because I've been every single position in cannabis you can imagine so far, and so just keep working.
Amazing advice. Know when your star is rising. Any other questions? Yes?
So just to kind of chime in really quick, we haven't actually fully announced it at this event, but Vanessa and I are actually going to be spearheading with support of the team, the Happy Munkey Community Impact. We're opening up a nonprofit to kind of take these kind of Choose Happy events and other things like that, and these resources and knowledge that we've been able to have, the collaborators like Cheryl and a lot of the other people in the community. So we just finished this event, so I'm not going to say what our next one is, but I'll let the team to do that. But I'll definitely say the Happy Munkey team hopes to continue sharing media and connecting with people. Please connect with us, and we can figure out how we can support you and what you're doing in Westchester.
Oh, she's an OG supporter. I remember you. I know you. You came to the parties. I seen ya.
And just to make a bigger note to answer your question is that this is the first step in that direction. Like I mentioned earlier, we've seen the echo chamber that has been, as far as events and networking information, has been bottlenecked downtown, and this is our first step in continuing to bring it to Harlem, Washington Heights, Bronx, Yonkers, Westchester, etc. Because like I mentioned earlier, you are the people and the communities that need this information, because we were the ones that suffered. So I'm going to encourage everybody that does things like us to continue to move in that direction, and I'm going to be there to support every way I can.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What a great way to end this panel, just talking about the fact that we want more. We want more Happy Munkey. We want more Choose Happy Symposium. So thank you. You've been a great audience. I'm going to hand back over to the organizers so that they can close out.
Yeah?
Sure. I wanted to just, before we close, I just wanted to add to that. Folks, one of the things that was a tremendous obstacle for Happy Munkey to put this event on here is that our community, the folks who have been most harmed by the war on drugs, do not see cannabis as cannabis. They do not see it the way those of us in the industry see it. They see it as a drug. They see legacy operators. They see y'all as drug dealers. They see consumers as drug addicts. We have to change that mindset. We have to not judge them for seeing it, because we grew up here. So we all know what it felt like to be a community member in a community that was over-policed during the war on drugs. So you cannot judge people for being fearful of something that persecuted them and their families for 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus years, whatever. So let's, one, educate, and two, speak to your elected officials. Go to your community boards and tell them, I want more community events centered around cannabis. I want more opportunities to get access to the industry. You have to reach out. As Ramon said, this is new. Cannabis, the industry of cannabis is new. Weed has been around forever, but the industry of cannabis is new, and we have to expect of our elected officials, and we have to ask of them. And we also have to speak to our communities. Talk to your mothers, talk to your grandmothers, talk to your aunts. Tell them that you consume, tell them that you're interested, and tell them that it's okay to come out and bring them to the next one. I challenge everyone here to bring someone who is not a part of cannabis, but is an anti-cannabis person to the next Choose Happy event. I promise you they'll choose happy when they're done.
Word.
And that's how we destroy stigma. Well said, Vanessa. Thank you so much.
Oh, is that, okay. Yes.
Please.
In these streets, baby, the shooter. Johnny.